Welcome to How to Be a Person, a podcast about life with me, your host, Giuliano. Terry, how's it going? Thanks so much for joining me.
Excellent. Very, very well. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. I know I just
Appreciate it.
told you, and for anybody listening, I specifically try not to know too much about my guests before they come on. I do look at a little bit, and yeah, I was definitely interested to talk to you today. I see you've probably got it in your hand, your magic wand, but I'm really interested in hearing a little bit more about you and your story and about what you do. So let's jump into it.
I do. Wow. This life has been full. I gotta tell you. Yeah, I was saying to someone earlier that it's like I feel like I'm that cat who has a lot more than 9 lives.
Mm,
Right. So I have a pretty full resume. Right now, my true focus is my book, Abracadabra, that is coming out in January. It's a children's book
mm,
and it's near and dear to my heart. And I think it's got a message that's extremely important right now.
mm.
Very, very important. So it's a little different than the typical children's book that's out there. But a little bit about me first.
Sure.
Let's see. So, yes, I am a writer and an author and a published author now. This is my debut book, for my
Mm.
debut children's book.
Okay.
Okay. And I've also been in real estate and property management and a lot of internet businesses. And I owned my own real estate company for a while down in Florida. I lived in Florida for about 30 years,
Mm.
from South Florida all the way up to Amelia Island, which was fabulous.
Okay.
And now I find myself, interestingly enough, I'm at this phase of my life, which I am now my elderly mom's caretaker. And
Mm.
she's 91. So a lot of the personal development tools that I guided myself through life with and my attitude lands me here. And I got to be quite frank with you, Giuliano, I tell kids like you, I always say, just prepare, really prepare yourself mentally. It's a big deal. And um, I think, again, that positivity that I have going in, and the book describes that I created and enjoyed through my life helped me land like that cat,
Mm.
right? And helps me deal on a day to day with a situation that is not always so fun, is very trying at times, yet there's a spin on it. And it's the appreciation that I have for having the ability to be here with her
Mm.
and to have her still in my life.
Yeah.
It's there's always a gift, and
Yeah.
that's what I tell people. And in everything and all perspective in life, it's up to us to choose that perspective.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and when we have both sides of the wand or both sides of the stick, right? Which side feels better? Choose that one, you know? So,
Yeah. You know what I was curious of is like, well, first of all, I have known people who've had to take care of their aging parents, and that I know that it can be extremely tough, especially well, depending on what the elderly parent is dealing with and all of those things. Um, I think what I'm curious of when you just said that, within everything there's a gift. Where other than, I mean, maybe it is just purely from your experience, but what I'm wondering is like where did you get that from? Like that idea from? Like what is it, how does that fit into like your belief system?
interesting and good question. So, I was brought up in a family that I was the only child of two parents that were divorced previously at a
Mm,
very early time.
okay.
Okay. So this was back in 63 when this didn't this now is every day.
Sure.
Every day we have these mixed families, right?
Yeah.
But back then, I'm telling you, people didn't even understand what I was going through. So um, I became like that mediator, that sunshine child, that like having to see things differently and create the gift. of being present, right? So a lot of this, I think going through life, to be able to inspire ourselves and trust ourselves, right? To know that we can bring something to the table that will shift the dynamic of what's going on if it's trying or challenging
Mm,
in a negative way. Okay. That we have that ability to do that and to be able to inspire children to do that at a younger age. My vision and my goal is that when we do that, these children will understand that they do have that wizard inside of them,
mm,
that they can trust themselves, right? Based on how they feel to make these decisions that feel good to them. As they're doing that, they're going to create these beautiful lives for themselves.
mm,
Okay. They'll step into that just by thinking in a certain way. And as to teach a child to do that is extremely inspiring for them. And they get excited, just like we get excited as
mm.
we come into a new thing, right? That we have
Yeah,
passion behind, just the way I have passion behind my book right now, right?
yeah.
So, to inspire children to do that, we will have kids that are growing up loving their lives. Now, we know for a fact that 86% of Americans now really don't love their lives. They
Mm,
are stuck. They're stuck in something they don't love doing,
yeah.
right? Well, to have that child grow into who their possibility and step into their possibility earlier on, they're going to be kinder.
Mm,
They'll be kinder adults who are more connected to themselves and others around them.
yeah.
And that, Giuliano, is my huge vision in
Oh,
this world.
yeah. I love that so
And I,
much.
yeah,
Yeah. No, I really love that. I think, my wife and I, we just had our first son like 6 months ago,
yes,
and
Graham,
yeah, Graham. And
great name.
thank you. And because of that, right, I'm thinking a lot about, um, what it means to be a parent and all of those things. But it is interesting because I've always been the type of person that, like, when I learn something, I want to turn around and tell other people about it. So for me, as I've gone through my own, I guess you could say, self-help journey and personal development journey, all those things, I've always turned around and tried to help other people with it. But it is something entirely altogether to go to children and to shape them, because ultimately like, they're going to be the, obviously, right, this seems silly to say, but they're going to be the adults in the future. And um to be able to, like, if I could, go back to my younger self and, like, give him all of these things, it's like, wow, that's pretty impactful to be able to share these, like, empowering perspectives with children. Now, what I'm curious of is what you had said before when you were talking about, like, a gift and everything, right? And you want to share this with children. Something that I think is really important and has been part of my experience is seeing that when you go through something, whatever it is, positive or negative, if someone, like, if you want to say objectively good or bad experience, doesn't matter, there are always positive and negative things within that experience, no matter what.
Mhm.
And ultimately, it's up to us which part of the experience we are going to draw our attention to.
Yeah,
And if you realize that, so number one, it's up to you which parts of this experience you're going to focus on. And number two, every experience has good and bad parts to it.
right.
Then technically, all of your experiences can be good experiences. Right?
Isn't it amazing?
It's crazy. It's kind of crazy.
But it's awesome because it's really up to us,
Yeah.
right? Well, who's accountable? Me. Which side of the stick do I want to focus on? I mean, that I think that's the beauty of life. What I used to say in my younger days is life is a double-sided coin. As I always said that it's a double-sided coin. You have which side of the coin do you want to look at? I used to say that a long, long time ago. Then I used to always say, and we learned this, perception is everything, right? You remember that saying, perception is everything. Well, nowadays, I really, really understand how much perspective means.
Mm.
Perspective is everything. It's absolutely everything. And it's up to us to decide,
Yeah.
right? It's really, really up to us to decide. So yes, everything has a gift. When you're saying, I need to speak to the part where you said talking to your younger self. I have a great story with my illustrator, with regard to my illustrator. He's a tremendous guy. I call him Jay, and it's Junaid. And Jay and I met because I happen to go on Fiverr. You know, Fiverr, the platform where people put up whatever they, whatever their services, and then you decide whether you want to collaborate or not. So here I had this girl, and then I decided to interview her on a Zoom. And so I'm here with her on a Zoom, and she brings this guy in. So immediately I'm like, who the hell are you? And I said, all right, let me just interview them. So I interviewed the two of them, and I decided, you know what? I'll give them a shot.
Yeah.
Let's give them a shot. This is the first people, right, that I interviewed on Fiverr to be my illustrator,
Yeah.
kidsbookart.com. So I said to them, hey, this is the cover I want. This is my vision. This is what I'm looking for. That cover is the cover that you see today on Abracadabra.
Oh wow.
That cover, the watercolor brought me to absolute tears. Rhonda steps away because she doesn't feel well. Jay steps in and says, Terry, I'm doing this book because it's the most inspiring book I've ever read for a child. He's in kids' books. He said, that's one. He said, two, if I had this before the age of 18, he said, I wouldn't have gone through the shit I went through.
Mm.
That to me was the most powerful statement. And he had tears and laughter through this entire journey with this book. And I'm really hoping that screams from the illustrations, which, by the way, are absolutely magnificent. So what I
Yeah.
did was I also created a coloring book. So now
Mm.
you have the sketches of these beautiful illustrations, and then even some play pages. And the play pages are allowing a child or an adult, quite frankly, because many of us adults don't step into our, personality and our dreams till way later,
Yeah.
right? And they have the ability to write down what they want to be or do when they grow up.
Mm.
And then they have little blurbs, little bubble blurbs, I guess they're called. And they can write down those words that inspire them. So when they wake up in the morning, they say those words. Now, you and I know them to be mantras,
Mm.
right? But a 6 to 9 year old, they don't know it's a mantra.
Yeah.
So I give parents and teachers a learning moment for the children, so they can understand that if you say everything's always working out for me every day, 20 million times a day, the way I do, maybe not 20 million, but
Yeah.
anyway, that, things really, I mean, I highly
Mm.
believe in the law of attraction and just putting out some really great energy and smiling at others that you don't even know, because you can make their day.
Yeah. Man, I love that because I mean, I agree with you. I believe in that as well, and I think that the whole, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just assuming this is where it's going, that like approaching it from like this magic abracadabra angle of creating your own life, it makes it like a game for kids, and kids already like love the idea of like, fantasy stories and magic and all of that. So like to kind of lean into that, and for them to start doing those things from that young age, because of the fact that it's just kind of a game, but they'll also like see it in their life. So it's like you're creating this like lifelong pattern of them just like, yeah, I just say this stuff and then stuff happens.
Exactly.
It's like magic, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's
Really,
really
really
smart.
fun. It's really, really fun. I can bring them out. I actually have a puppet that I'm going to be working with, that's a wizard.
Okay,
It's fantastic. Shall I do
sure,
it?
yeah, please.
Shall I introduce? It's the first time he's being introduced.
Oh wow, look at that.
So he even still has a tag on him. Isn't it great?
Wow.
This, my friends, how do you do? Um, Professor Wisely Bean. So, really fantastic. And what's happened with the professor and I is we're going to go to schools, we're going to go to libraries, we're going to do readings, we're going to do readings at parties. We are just going to have a blast with this
Mm,
book. Now, the book, interestingly enough, comes out very uniquely. Children's books typically don't come out the way mine does. There's a little girl who's crying, who's literally running away from her house because her parents are fighting.
mm,
And then she goes down to a lake. She finds a magic wand, okay? And then she sees her reflection in the lake. And that reflection becomes her sage.
mm,
That reflection is talking to her about the power within her and her wizard inside her. So she makes decisions differently.
mm. What
That's
what age group is the book written for?
6 to 9.
Okay.
And I like to say, right? We like to say 6 to 600, 6 to 60, 6 to over
Yeah.
60, because I really believe that this methodology and this kind of thinking needs to be injected into all of us.
Yeah.
I mean, all of us. We can truly reset the world, one child at a time. And we kind of need to do that right now. We're in a funky time. We all know it. We all feel it. A lot of us are walking around pretty despondent. So
Hmm.
it starts with our kids. And if we catch it, we'll share it, just like you said, and be it and set the example for them.
Yeah, it's really true. I've had this conversation with other people recently that um like ultimately the our well, first of all, right, like when we're talking about like our own life, right, how good or how bad our life is, we've established, right, it's essentially our own perception of it, right, and that's amazing. Right, but also there are things that are happening that are objectively not good, right? And so it's like I would love for those things not to happen to those people. And if that's the case, ultimately, if each person was like, hey, I'm gonna be the best person I can be, I'm gonna be kind to others, blah blah blah, and I'm gonna make a positive impact on who I am able to have a positive impact on. And if every person did that, congratulations, the whole world's amazing. And I think what you're saying kind of takes it even further, right? Where it's like, okay, yes, every adult, right, could be doing that, but also if we're able to like instill these things in children before they become adults, then they just naturally go into that phase of adulthood.
Yeah. It's we all have that ability. We all have that ability to first of all, we have the ability as adults to rewrite our story, right? Our narrative, you know, can change at any point in our life. And at any point in our life, I know you were speaking with, I believe Jack it was, and that's the recording I was listening to. And he was talking about how, you know, when something happens, we are different people at different stages in our life.
Mm,
And that's very true. What happens is because of our knowledge and our experiences, we have the awareness to react differently, right? And when we react differently, we're always going to get a different outcome.
mm,
Okay, so what's the outcome that you really want, right? So when we focus in this way, we're able to manifest a lot more. Also, I'm heavily into manifesting through the power of law of attraction and such. And my belief and my knowing, and that's part of it, is knowing without a doubt that everything really is going to work out for me one way or the other,
mm,
right? It just works out because there is a gift. That's one. Secondly, I believe that when we're we understand that we want what we want at the ends of the stick, but we we're not as attached to that goal, right? So what happens is you don't become attached to it. You freely go through the journey as you're reaching for it, right? But allowing whatever to happen and whatever the journey to be, and enjoying it
Mm.
while you're doing it. Now, that outcome may not be the exact thing, but I could promise you it's going to be similar. I could promise you you're going to have synchronicities that will just blow your mind. If I went through the synchronicities that happened the other day at the learning room here in Whitestone, Queens, you would have been blown out. I mean, I couldn't even believe the the little girl in the book is called Danny, and I did that on purpose, Dani. Well, the woman who owned the place was called Danielle, Danny, and
Mm.
I just was thrown by that. And then there were several other things that took place with this brother and sister team that just, it was just outrageous. I mean, we had an amazing day. In fact, the owner looked at me later on and said, "What is going on with you?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "I don't know, but I am in awe." And that's what happens when these things and synchronicities happen. I'm in awe. I thank the universe, and I just go on with, with what's next on my list and have fun with it. I think that life truly is supposed to be fun. And that's actually coined, I believe, by Esther Hicks, that
Mm.
life is supposed to be fun. And that's how I write it up in my book. And she's a great teacher of law of attraction and everything else. I have
Yeah.
a lot of my own sages too. So,
If you've ever wondered how I find all these awesome people to come on the podcast, the truth is I don't. I use a service called Podmatch. It works a lot like a dating app, but instead of connecting people romantically, it matches podcasters and guests. You set up your profile, and every day it sends you new matches. All the messaging and scheduling happens right inside the app, so the whole process is super simple. So if you've got a podcast and you need great guests, or if you want to get more exposure and be a guest on other people's shows, Podmatch is the easiest way to do it. You can sign up by going to joinpodmatch.com/howtobeaperson, or just click the link in the show notes. Okay, back to the show. That's like the conclusion I've come to recently, which is funny. I didn't know that Esther Hicks had said that. But I have it on my social media page. It says life is meant to be lived. And
yeah,
like the thing is that it's so here's the thing, right? There obviously are things that are happening in the world that are not amazing. Okay.
right.
But I also believe that so much of people's experience is their interpretation of their experience, right? Like there's so many people who just like hate their life right now. And I'm like, listen, okay? I've been through some shit, okay? And I know a lot of other people have too. And I'm sitting here smiling not because I'm forcing it, but because I'm genuinely happy, okay?
Yeah,
And like I do believe that it is possible to enjoy your life regardless of what might be happening to you in any given moment. And I'm not saying that you have to force yourself to always be happy. That's not the point. What I'm saying is that like there's so many people, it feels like, right? Because that's what you see on social media all over the place is people just like complaining and talking about how bad everything is. And I'm like, are our lives that different? Or is it just that you're interpreting your life that way, right? You're looking for all of the
right.
things that are wrong with it.
Exactly. That's right to the point, and extremely conscientious to know that, quite frankly, at such an early stage. It's fantastic that you do know that, and that you can bring that kind of perspective to the people around you.
Mm.
So just imagine being that child and then growing up, and then your circles start to grow and grow and grow, and we have all of these people kind of going down that line looking to go up the emotional scale
Mm.
instead of down it, right?
Yeah.
So we all do have very similar emotions, right? They're all the same emotions. It's just how are we reacting to what's going on in our lives at that time. And no matter what, if there's one thing bad happening, if you're going to focus on that bad thing, you're going to feel like crap.
Yeah.
But there are all of these other things that are in your life that you can be super grateful for.
Mm.
And when you bring that gratitude into the conversation in your head, because that's where it begins and ends, it's really
Mm.
within yourself.
Yeah.
That once you start to do that, and you do that in a pattern, you do that on a daily basis, you're waking up in gratitude with some of those words that empower you through your day, and you're stepping into that, and each you're so present. This is what's really, really important too. You're so present that you're observing yourself in the feeling.
Mm.
Okay. You're observing yourself in that emotion. And in that observing, do you like the way it feels or don't you? Because if you don't, shift the way you're thinking. There's a wonderful movie called The Shift. Wayne Dyer, our grandfather of it all when it comes to personal development. And, you and your audience, I mean, if you haven't seen it, The Shift is an incredible movie. And here's a man who went through a tremendous amount of stuff and had 7 kids and wrote outrageous books and just started the whole evolution of this way of thinking, quite
Hmm.
frankly.
Interesting.
Even before that.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up because I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
You know, okay, so there were a couple things that popped in my head when you were talking there. One of them was that, um, like when we're talking about like how we're viewing our own experiences, right? Like choosing what we focus on.
Absolutely.
I was thinking how like there's a lot of people who, I mean, this isn't just like me seeing stuff on social media, like generalizing it. Like I've literally had people when I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" You're like, they're like, "Yeah, the world's on fire, blah blah blah," and I'm like, it doesn't look like it's on fire. What are we talking about? And I'm not, again, this is not to be like ignorant, right? And be like, oh, I'm just going to pretend like other, those things aren't happening. But I also feel like we've gotten to a point where we're so, we're almost overly connected with what's going on in places besides our immediate vicinity, to the point where like it's detrimental, right? We're hyper aware of all of the negative things that are going on, when in reality, like an actual reality, meaning your own personal reality for what you can see and what you can experience, there's nothing wrong, right? For like most people. And I know that that's some people will probably be mad at me saying that, but like genuinely, most people in this very moment, if they just stop and go, is everything okay? The answer is yes, right? The answer is yes. You're alive. Even if, let's say you're hungry, right? Let's say you're starving even, right? Okay. So I've done 5-day fast before. Okay. I fasted for the longest was, I want to say 117 hours or something like that I've done. So I know what it's like to not have food, okay, for a very long time. And I can tell you is that even 2 days in, 3 days in, 4 days in any given moment, I'm still alive, right? I'm there and I can find things to be appreciative of. And I'm not saying that those like whatever bad situations people are going through shouldn't change. But what I mean is that like the way that we describe our world is the world that we're going to create, right? So if we're sitting here and describing the world as it's on fire and it's terrible and everything's going to shit, you're like, well, okay, like, is that really the world you want to live in? Because it's not the world I want to live in. And also, you want to be objective, like, just look around. That's not the world I'm seeing, right? Like, right here in my immediate vicinity.
Exactly.
And ultimately, if we're going to be able to like have a world that's that way, then that means cultivating that environment where it is and extending it outward. Right. So if we're constantly just sitting here and be like, oh, the world's shit, you're like, what are you doing to your current environment? Right. Like
Right.
your current radius, you are pulling down because you're like, oh, it's terrible. It's this and that, instead of raising it. Right. Like the whole that saying that like a rising tide lifts all boats. It's the
Yeah.
same thing, right? Like if on in our situation we focus on our immediate vicinity and we raise the tide where we are, the tide raises everywhere.
We all have our own immediate world,
Yeah.
right? We all have our own world of finance, our world of friends, our world of family, our world of everything. If we don't like the narrative, then we need to change the story. It's just about changing the story,
Yeah.
even tweaking it just a little bit. And it starts with our perception of the story.
Mm.
So, what is the story that we want to create? right?
Yeah.
So if you want to create the fires and you want to create the ugliness in the world, keep thinking about it, because guess what? You'll get more of it, and it will
Yeah.
start infiltrating your personal world.
Yeah.
That's what, and then guess what? You get to be validated.
Mm.
And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be validated in that way.
Yeah, no,
I want
absolutely
to be
not.
validated in a really quite positive scope of the way things are. There is no doubt in my mind that social media, the media itself, and everything that we're getting blasted with on a daily basis is absolutely detrimental to our health.
Yeah.
Okay. It really is. So we need, so as parents, we need to limit that, right, a bit with the kids.
Yeah.
I think as adults, we need to get off the TV, and there's so much now, right? I mean, Netflix and streaming, and I've
Oh
never
yeah.
seen so many
Oh
movies and
yeah.
so, and it's wonderful to get lost in it. I mean, I'm not, I do it all the time,
Hmm.
but I make that choice. Like last night, I'll give you an example. Last night, I could stay up until 12 o'clock at night watching this, whatever's on. Last one was Ripple, which I thought was kind of cool. But the bottom line is, I you make a choice right then and there. Okay, do I go to sleep now? Yeah, Terry, you need to go to sleep, right? It's either that or, hey, Terry, do you want to pick up a book? Read a book. Not just, it's very easy to just kind of throw the sheets to the wind and throw on the tube or start, scrolling on your phone. Not very healthy at all. So
Yeah.
if
Well,
we can, yeah,
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just thinking
no, no,
about
no,
that.
no,
Like, I always like to play like devil's advocate in my head,
yeah,
from a side that I disagree with. Like, I don't agree with this, right? But I like to put it out there because it's. I feel like that's the only way to like refine your thoughts is like to hear opposing thoughts, right? And okay, well, what does that not make sense
awesome.
to me? So something that comes into my head is like I could see when we're talking about the news and like don't focus on that stuff, people being like, but it's happening, right? You can't just deny that it's happening. And what's interesting about it is like, okay, that's not false, right? You're right. Those things are happening. Well, maybe. Okay. To be clear, I'm at a point where I'm like, well, maybe. I don't know how much I trust the news. Um,
That's true too.
yeah. So, but that aside, right? Let's say it was 100% true and all of those things are happening. You as an individual are still, if you want to talk about being subjective, or I'm sorry, not subjective, objective, and getting a true representation of what the world is like, it is not the news, because the news is pushing all of the negative stuff to the top and saying, look at this terrible thing, look at this terrible thing. And so you can sit here and champion and say, well, but we have to know we have to be informed. We have to know what's going on. It's like, okay, are you informing yourself of all of the good things that are happening every day? Are you informing yourself of all of the positive things? Because if you truly want to be objective, it's not just about becoming aware of all the bad things. It's about becoming aware of all the good things. And that's not the news ultimately, right? You are not seeing an accurate representation of the state of the world by watching the news. You're seeing a heavily slanted in the negative direction.
Absolutely. And I have this argument I have to tell you with my mother
Okay.
daily.
Daily.
She's addicted to the news.
uh,
She's addicted to the newspaper, and she faults me constantly
yeah.
for not knowing what's going on.
Mm,
And it's not that I don't, it's that I don't want to focus on it, number one. And my other thing is with her, what I say to her is, and how is it going to change my immediate life?
mm,
That's what I want to know. How is knowing what's going on going to actually change my immediate life right now? It's not. It's not at all. It will change my my mind in terms of the negativity and my vibration and how sad I feel, or how, because I'm reacting to it,
yeah.
right? But I also have that choice too when all of this news is on and everything. How do you want to react to it? How do you want to deal with it?
Yeah.
Again, to your point, do you want to react to it by saying the world's blowing up, oh my, or we all have our own worlds. I don't know about you, my world is not blowing up.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's so much to look forward to, and there's so much beauty in this life. I mean, just step out into nature.
Yeah.
I get to look at water every day, and I just, I'm very grateful for that, and the view that I get to look at. And nature is the core of getting grounded, by the
Mm,
way. It really is. Just step out into nature and enjoy it,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. I
Mhm.
think that there's a, like with the argument that, like the devil's advocate argument I was making before about, like, you want to be a responsible person, right? You want to be like a responsible citizen. You want to, like, let's take a look at it from the angle of like making even change, right? Because people go, well, hey, like, how can you change things if you're not aware of it? And I don't disagree with that, but I'm looking at it from this angle of, so previously, right, it was like, okay, let's talk about, being, having a true objective, viewpoint of what's happening in the world, and you'll realize that the bad things that are happening is such a small percentage of what reality actually is. But let's look at it from the angle of, okay, I want to make a positive impact on the world, and it's like, okay, even if that is true and you want to make positive change, flooding yourself with negativity every day is actually going to do the exact opposite. This is a thing. Like, I want to make sure, and I'm assuming you agree with me on this, but even if you don't, that's okay. You can disagree. But for me, like, I want to make it clear to people, like, this is not about being like a selfish asshole. Like, my world's fine. Why should I worry about anyone else? Right? That's not what this
Exactly.
is. That's not what this is at all. If anything, it's
Well,
the exact opposite. It's like, no, no, no. I want everyone to have an awesome, amazing life, have an incredible experience here on earth. And if that is the case, that means I have to do my best to have that positive experience and spread that to whoever I have an impact on. And I think it's just important. Like I said, I'm playing the devil's advocate in my head because I know some people are going to listen and be like, "Oh, you're an asshole. You care about yourself. What about this person who's going through this or this person who's going through that?" It's not about that whatsoever. I want to see every single human being happy and thriving. And I truly believe that the way to do that is to focus on making your experience a good one. Because when you do that, you are able to have a better and bigger impact on the people around you.
most definitely, it's the ripple effect, right? Uh, and we do truly impact everybody in our lives, including that person walking down the street
Mm,
and just throwing them a smile.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's that it's that contagious, it's that positive, and it's super fun. It is
Yeah.
super fun to play with life in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it all the time. You're sticking your head in the sand or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Well, how is it going to impact me if I decide that I want to go down Christmas Day and decide to be part of a group that's helping to feed the hungry,
Yeah.
right? That's a positive start of a ripple.
Yeah.
And it's part of making change, right? And being part of something that makes us feel good and them feel good and everything else, and throwing that smile too, right? That doesn't mean I needed to listen to the news to take the action to do that.
Yeah.
You see? So there's a lot of things in life that
Yeah.
we can do that we don't have to be drilled in with
Yes.
the news
Yes.
to take action to do things.
Yes.
The little things that we can do in life that make such a huge
Yeah.
difference.
You know what this is making me think of is, have you heard of food porn?
Oh,
So
no.
it's basically just food. That's all it is just like really, really good looking videos of food. And people are just like obsessed with watching it, right? But it's like disaster porn. That's like what the news is like you're addicted to hearing about all of like the bad things of what's going on in the world. Because you don't,
Yeah.
so this is the thing, is like you can find out, like you said, you can find out, hey, there's a way. Oh, I guess there's people who are hungry and don't, I guess, obviously, right? There's people who are hungry, there's people who need housing, all of those things. What can I do to help with that? I'm going to do this, right? Because this is a way that I can give
Right.
back, as opposed to, wait, there's people who don't have houses. Let me like go in this deep dive of what's going on and how terrible it is and this bad story and this bad story. It's like, you don't have to, like I said, it doesn't have to be this like disaster porn where you're like, oh, like digging into it super deep and just like hearing about how terrible it is and all that. I mean, if you want to, I guess whatever, do what you want. But the point is that it's not necessary to like flood ourselves with all of the negativity in order to have a positive impact.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you don't have to get sick and sicker than the person who's sick to
Mm,
make them feel better.
yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So it's really important to know that, right? We can still be compassionate, right? And sympathize at the same time. There's a little
Yes.
bit of difference, right? With people who are going through things, and we understand that. Yet bringing them that meal or bringing them that smile can literally change their day and their perception of what they're going through
Mm-hmm.
right now,
Mm-hmm.
right at that moment. And we all have the power to do this for each other. Every single one of us do. So to start with a child, to to let them know that they have that kind of impact
Yeah.
with the world. You're going to love one of the pages, by the way, Giuliano, in it where I talk about Danny, and I say, Danny, use your power within you, or use your upbeat, I forgot how I said it,
It's okay.
use your upbeat power to bring people together,
Mm,
right? So the page before is all her friends are kind of like looking at her like she's really strange, and not really digging her, or her way of thinking. And then all of a sudden, you know they're all together and right in front of her, and they're laughing and smiling and everything, because friends make a difference.
yeah.
Friends make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Giuliano. I'm just popping in here to say how much I appreciate you being here listening and that I hope you're enjoying the show. The more support that the show gets, the more episodes can be produced. If you can only support by sharing it with others or leaving a review, I appreciate that so much. But if you're the type of person who would like to support the show directly, you can do so by visiting howtobeaperson.co and click support the show, or just click the link in the show notes. Every bit of support means the world to me, and no matter how you choose to support the show, I appreciate you being here listening. I love what I do, and it's because of people like you who listen to the show that I get to keep doing it. Thanks again so much for being here. All right, back to the episode. The whole like manifesting, the secret, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I'm sorry, I said the secret, but I meant law of attraction because that's what you had said before. Obviously, I feel like I tie it in with the secret.
Amazing.
Um, is that? Well, I mean, I feel like I could guess, but I was that how you were raised, or
Not
did
in the least.
you? When did you shift into
Not
thinking this way?
not in the least. I
Okay.
definitely was speaking a different language at 8, but no, 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 no. I was surrounded. I was the black sheep. I was surrounded by people who really thought that it was psychobabble, is what they would call it.
Mm,
Don't give me your psychobabble. And to this day, right, I still get that from the immediate fam. What's interesting is when you look at their lives and how they're living and what they're doing, and I sit back from judgment and I say to myself, Tara, if they're happy, if they're truly happy and they want this kind of journey, that's their call.
yeah.
So I've let go completely, honestly, of like the judgment, this judgment thing
Yeah.
going on. And I think at an early stage in my life, that's all it is. And I get tons of judgment now,
Mm,
tons. So again, coming into this part of my life without some of these tools, breath work. Sometimes breathing is really important, and some of these mantras and this mindset that I have, and just not reacting right away. It's really easy to react right away, words with words that are tougher. There's no reason for it.
mm,
Why do I don't have to escalate things to that extent. If people want to escalate things, let them and just walk away. It will bother them more, by the way, just so you know that you're not getting
yeah.
escalated at the same time, or even more so, because they want to push buttons. I had a friend of mine who said it's amazing how the buttons are pushed in this household, and comment was his mothers implant the buttons.
So of course they know
So
where they are.
so she really knows how to push them. But anyway, I
uh,
mean, and you know what's fun? You have fun with it. The minute
yeah,
I change and I put a kind of a smile or a smirk on my face when she's gonna doing something or whatever the deal is, she just looks at me like a little kid. I'm 91 year olds. That's what I'm dealing with now, right?
yeah.
This is a child. I'm telling you, it flips around amazingly so. And she just looks at me with that little look on her face, with that little smile, too. And the whole energy shifts around the topic.
Mm,
It completely shifts.
yeah,
So it's very interesting how again we have that power to do that at every moment of our day.
yeah,
Every moment of our day.
yeah. One of the things I'm curious about, and kind of what I was asking before too, and is kind of in line with this, because I myself have like shifted my beliefs about reality and all of those, religious beliefs and all that over time. And so I think that's kind of what I'm more curious about is like, obviously if you weren't raised to believe in manifestation and law of attraction and all of that, like when did that shift for you to, where did it shift from? Like what did were you raised to believe, and then when did you make that shift to this?
I think it's happened a couple of different times
Okay.
in my life, right? Because I went down the road, born in '63. You go down the road of having to kind of align with what's expected of you and what you're taught and all of that and corporate. And I did the corporate thing for 10 years, and then I went back into it even after I owned my own business. So I think what at my early stage, as I mentioned, being brought up kind of like that person who was the sunshine child and had, um, the ability to make people laugh and turn things around pretty quickly just by the laughter. I
Mm,
think I learned that innately,
mm,
that this is a tool and it's a superpower to be
mm,
able to do that, right? So then, so I was speaking a very different language, I think, at 8, quite frankly, but I was super rebellious. I was a
mm.
really rebellious kid, right? And I knew, I mean, I was singing Billy Joel, This Is My Life, at the age of 11. I sat both my parents down. It's true. It's a true story. It's hysterical. I'm like, you guys are just overreacting. You're really overreacting. I got this. I was like, I got this. And I was 11. So, and my mother would always say, you're 11 going on 40. You know, you'll find that with your own kids. That's what's going to happen, right? Yet, I think at different times when I again fell like that cat, I realized that I've got the ability. It's my ability to kind of manifest things based on the way I'm thinking. And then I got
Mm,
into some really great gurus, if you want to call them, between Hicks and Joe Dispenza and, Wayne Dyer way early on. And I started to speak the truth. Now, I didn't fall into what I thought could be my passion early on, but that goes to show you that, you go through life, things happen, you really make the best of the situation
mm,
that's in front of you. You and I've had a lot of different situations in my life where I said, "Okay, Tara, you made this decision. This is the path you decided to take. Now what?" My I had a period of 3 years that was not speaking with my mom and my sister.
mm.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was back when I was 50. So now that's going about 12 years ago. I decided to come back around and give what I call an olive branch, right? If everybody in the world could kind of get a bit more vulnerable with each other and speak from their heart, we all want the same thing.
Mhm,
We all want to be loved. We all want to be accepted. We all want to be appreciated. Sometimes the appreciation way outweighs the money. Just show me that you appreciate me,
mm,
right? I had this conversation the other day with a podcaster about, appreciation and how the churning of kids that are going through job after job after job isn't
Mm.
necessarily because of the money.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
because they're not feeling appreciated whatsoever in their
Yeah.
position. And it's a big deal. And it doesn't take that much. Think about that.
Yeah.
And I feel that about marriages. Appreciate your loved one every day. Every day, just one thing, and communicate that. And we would not have as much divorce. I truly believe that.
Yeah, I feel like that's life in general, which is kind of ironic. Like, well, so I heard this a little while back about the word appreciation, that like we use it like, hey, I appreciate you, right? And that's fine. But also like in like financial terms, right? When you say appreciate, it's your
Yeah.
when you appreciate something, the value of it is going up. And that's like what it is when we show appreciation and we express appreciation to someone. It's like they become better, they become more themselves, they become more valuable even, right? And it makes me think that like what there was a the way it was said was like what you appreciate appreciates.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I totally agree. Yeah, when it comes to
Yeah.
relationships, when it comes to everything in our life, that's ultimately what I feel like is the message for people, is to have appreciation for your experiences.
Yeah.
Because yes, I could still, even though I have this viewpoint, I could still look back and be like, "Ooh, that sucked," or I can still look at certain things and be like, "That sucked." But if I have an appreciation for it, what I love about the word appreciation is that it doesn't have to be that you're ecstatic about it, right? It doesn't have to be that you're happy about it. You just appreciate it, right? I'm acknowledging it. I appreciate it. I observe it and I go, okay, interesting. It's and what's funny is I actually am curious what the actual definition of the word appreciation is, because now as I'm saying it, it's like it is kind of this combination of gratitude mixed with just like simple acknowledgement mixed with a certain amount of, yeah, I don't know, it's kind of an interesting word,
Wow.
right?
Yeah. Well, look it up. Go ahead, look it up.
Yeah,
I
I
know you're
will.
looking it up right
Let's
now.
do it.
Look it up. So as I'm talking, look it up. So I feel that when you appreciate someone, you're showing them that you value them.
Yeah, you said it, because this
Okay.
is the definition: recognize the full worth of.
Yeah. So if you value, and they
Ah,
sense that, they feel that, and wow, you've just lit up their day,
yeah,
right? You lit up their day, and then the appreciation goes back and forth, and it
yeah,
creates some beautiful, beautiful symmetry with people, and get vulnerable.
yeah,
Get vulnerable. The vulnerability will bring you to the appreciation. Uh, it really will.
yeah.
Allowing ourselves to truly just be with all our faults, with
Mm-hmm.
all our idiosyncrasies.
Mm-hmm.
We get married, we partner, we do all of these things because there was something in that person that you adored, that you really loved, and you decided that you didn't want to be without,
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So here we go. Let them know that
Yeah.
continuously, not just in the beginning when the sparks are sparking, right? But all throughout, and then find other things and
Yeah.
little things. Goodness, I used to be in a relationship where I would get little notes and I love them. Or like happy Thursday or whatever it was. They were just so kind and sweet. And, or a note in my lunch, surprise, love you, thinking about you. These little
Yeah.
things are just they make a huge difference, and they'll make a huge difference even in your kids' lunchbox.
Yeah, for sure.
Doing that as they grow up,
Yeah.
and then they'll take that with them. Celebration is a big thing too. Celebrating all the time, not minimizing, celebrating whatever it is. I have a friend of mine who's really into half birthdays, like Alice in
Mm.
Wonderland. Right? It's like half birthdays. I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't even realize it. It didn't even connect with me. And I've watched Alice in Wonderland, but I didn't remember it. Then it became a thing. Now, if you have a really big family and you have so many birthdays every year, you may not want to do half birthdays, but it's really kind of fun,
Yeah.
just celebrating it all. It's wonderful. Life is a wonderful journey that we have the ability to make it super fun
Yeah.
uh, and enjoy every step of the way.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, when it comes to like that definition of appreciate that we just looked up, like to recognize the full worth of something, I think that is truly like if you want to talk about being truly objective, that is you then that means appreciating something, right? Because if you acknowledge the full worth of any given situation, that
Yeah,
means, like we said before, there are bad parts to it, right? If someone goes, this is a bad situation, that's fine.
yeah,
But the true full worth of a situation would include any of the good that came out of it too.
that's
Right.
right.
And so,
There's the gift.
exactly, exactly. So there's always
It's
something to appreciate.
Yeah, yeah, a bad or good. Because what's really interesting is, and I'm sure you've been through things where things seem so bad, but something wonderful comes out of
Yeah.
it. Even with all of a sudden it shifts your mind, and now you're thinking about something completely differently,
Hmm.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Completely
Oh,
differently
yeah.
because of
Oh,
that
yeah.
experience that you've had, and you say, "Whoa, wait a minute! I didn't expect this."
Yep.
You're
Yeah,
right,
and in
and
the
it
moment
just
you would hate it, right? In the moment you're just like, "This
right,
is awful. This is the worst thing," and then later you're like,
exactly,
"Oh my god, if that didn't happen,
right,
this wouldn't have
right.
happened."
But here's a really important key: the thing that's good that comes out of it could happen even faster for us
Mm,
if we shift quicker.
mm,
So the minute we're going down that rabbit hole, if you can catch yourself at the top of that hole, of that spiraling, because you can sense it, you can feel it, you can feel the shift chemically. Sometimes I feel it chemically, quite frankly, you know, and you feel yourself and your thoughts, and you catch that thought. That's where you become the observer, by the way. You catch that thought and you change that thought.
mm.
And then you change the next one and you change the next one. And the quicker you do that, the quicker you'll come out the other side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. It's amazing like that, because you and I both know some people who love to stay in it. They love to stay in it. Now, those are typically the same people who are blaming, unfortunately,
Yeah.
and they're not taking any kind of accountability for their own part, right? So if when you play victim like that and you're not taking any kind of responsibility or accountability for how you're going to react or for your actions at all, okay, it's not going to be a very fun life. It really isn't. It's very empowering when we take back our power
Mm.
and our control over what we have control over,
Yeah.
which is basically how we react
Yeah.
and how we speak to people and how we smile at people. And all of this is up to us every step of the way. And again, to start with that kid, oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was thinking too with the book is that ultimately, like, I think if you go back far enough in the process, if you're just talking about personal development and like you go all the way, right, okay, we're making an impact and you go boop, 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 right, and you take all these steps backward, I think it all starts with that taking responsibility for what you have control over. Like, that's the beginning part of it. And
Mhm.
realizing that like your personal experience and the world you're creating around you starts with the thoughts in your head, and you
Absolutely.
have control over the thoughts in your head, but you can very easily give up control of those thoughts, right? And just let things come at you, and you just take on those thoughts that come into your head, right? But if you realize that you take responsibility for your thoughts, which is the very, very starting, it's the starting line of all of those things, then you can have a good life, you can have a positive impact in the world. And so I think it's really cool that with your book, that's what you're doing, is like teaching kids, they're at the starting line. It's like, let's control your thoughts, which then affects everything else downstream.
Yeah. 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 Your podcast and many others, I'm hoping, and getting it out into the media. And I was blown away that Lady Gaga had a song called Abracadabra because I was so immersed in my book. I wasn't listening to much of anything
Yeah.
else. And my friend played it for me in September, and I said, "What?" And he started dancing. I was going crazy. I was like, "This is nuts." And then I looked up what she meant for the song and what it said.
Yeah.
Abracadabra itself means create with your word.
Mm.
I don't know if you know that.
No.
I didn't even realize that.
Oh.
So I was like, oh my God. So again, synchronicity, so many things happening. So if any of you listeners know of her or know of any way, because I want to get her my book
Oh
and
yeah.
the coloring
That would
book.
be awesome.
Oh, absolutely. I really do.
Well, especially if
And
that was the message behind the song, like she would love that, I'm sure.
it was. So I looked it up and I said, are you kidding me? So it was very similar. It was like in line
Yeah.
with it. And I was just absolutely blown away. So it's an exciting time. It's coming out in January. Your listeners could go to terrybeanauthor.com,
Okay.
which is my website now. They could even download one of the coloring pages, the cover
Oh, okay.
of the coloring book. You can download and color it in. And adults even love to color too.
Sure.
So I think it will be super fun. And the book's going to be coming out in the beginning of January. I wanted to get away from all the noise of Christmas.
Oh, sure.
honestly.
Sure.
You know, just way too much.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. Now I want to, it's going to be available on Amazon and all that?
Amazon. It will be available on Amazon, on Ingram. Yeah.
Okay. Very
Right
cool.
to my
Very cool.
website.
Well, I'll have to get it. I'll definitely have to get a copy for myself
Yeah, I'm
and
excited.
to share with my son as well. So terrybeanauthor.com is where, if anyone listening wants to get the book or just connect with you, that's where all of your links are at.
Yeah, my links are going to be there in January to pick up the book.
Okay.
Right.
Perfect.
But right now they can get on because I'm going to do like a countdown
Nice.
with it. I'll do a countdown so they can get on my email list.
Okay.
And I have a blog as well on there right now. So,
Great.
everything I'm taking in steps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Juggling everything else I'm doing.
And that's all available on the website.
That's
Perfect.
All. Yes.
Perfect.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, Terry. Well, like I said, this is a great conversation. I'm excited to get a copy of your book, and I'm sure people listening will be grabbing a copy too. So thank you so much for coming on the show. And is there anything else that you want to share before we wrap up?
No, it's just been an absolute pleasure. And, these kind of conversations when two people have a similar mindset on things are just so exciting. And they they make us vibrate at that
Yeah.
level. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's great stuff. And I appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
I
Well,
really do. And having me on. Thank you so much. And thank you to your listeners too.
yeah, of course. Thanks again for coming on. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye for now.
Thanks for being here. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review or share it with someone who'd appreciate it. For everything I have to offer, visit howtobeaperson.co.